Hi and welcome. My name is Whitney Pepper. I'm an architect. I've brought you out here to the beautiful Bitterroot River in Missoula, Montana to give you a nice backdrop for this brief educational video. Thank you for being here. Now, if you take action based on what you learn in this video, it could be one of the most important things that you do for years. And I know that's a huge statement, but the reason I can say it is because it could prevent you from making one of the most costly mistakes that people make when entering a building or renovation project. Now, have you heard of the term on time and on budget? If not, this is an important concept. On time and on budget is the term used in all big projects from construction to IT to building roads. All projects are trying to meet their targets. The term on time and on budget refers to completing the project within the planned time frame and within the planned budget. Many times, however, projects do not come in on time and on budget, and for your project, this is bad news. Now, there's a lot of reasons why projects don't come in on time and on budget, but the biggest reason by far is a lack of planning in the early stages. But here's the thing. At some point, you're going to find a way to make your project better. It's just part of the process and something we should anticipate. There's going to be changes. It might be updating the location of a window or a door, or changing the layout of a room, or updating a material selection. It's something that's just normal to the design process that we should anticipate. But when shortcuts are taken early on and people rush into the design phase, then clients don't have the opportunity to discover all the options that they have or what it is that they really want until after the concrete has already been poured. Without getting a full needs and options jam conducted before the builder gets on site, homeowners or business owners regularly shortchange their design. Late discovery of your real needs or your real options leaves you crying, "I wish I'd known more." Now, this is why I created the Needs and Options Jam. And when I say jam, I want you to think musical jam, not peanut butter and jelly jam. Musicians, with all their brilliance, grab their instruments and they come together to improvise music together. This is a jam. And even though they're all so skilled, they don't know yet what it is that's going to happen. And as a parallel, at this point in any project, we don't yet know. It is dangerous to think that we know exactly what the project should be. We don't yet know. We need to do a thorough assessment of what are the needs that you have and what are the options that are available. So there's 5 points during the process of a project where you have the opportunity to make changes. The first one is the Needs and Options Jam. The second one is the concept design. Third, building documentation. After that, bidding and negotiation, and then the construction phase. Now, if you discover better options early on, then you can make those changes effortlessly. Make your discoveries late though, and you pay exponentially more, or worse, live in a house or build a building where you settled for a lesser option. Nobody wants that. This little chart here gives an indication of how cost increases over time. As you can see at the beginning, during the Needs and Options Jam, costs are very inexpensive, but as you get further down the project, all the way down to the construction phase, changes can cost up to 50 times more, and that's not even counting the time it takes and the project delays. You know what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But with the Needs and Options Jam, you don't ever have to utter those tragic words, "If only I'd known!" So take a look at this chart. Time is on the bottom of the x-axis. Now, as time progresses from left to right, the opportunity to make changes decreases. That's what this line is showing here. This is common sense. It's a lot easier to change the location of a concrete footing before it has been placed in the ground. Now, let's look for a second at the relative cost to make a change. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have low cost, and on the top, we've got high cost. As time progresses, the cost gets more expensive. The best time to make a change is in the beginning of a project. That's why a thorough Needs and Options Jam should be your first step. Or as Abraham Lincoln said, "If I had 9 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 6 sharpening my axe." Old Abe understood that proper preparation early on can save you a lot of time and effort in the long run. Or if we put that in common terms, measure twice, cut once. Or, my favorite, Bayo Akumalafe, a writer, philosopher, and activist who says, "Times are urgent, let us slow down." Now, it's at this point in the process that we want to avoid making changes. Changes are going to happen, but we want to examine all those options early on when there's not cost implications. Remember, we're trying to get to on time and on budget. Now, you might be asking yourself, do I really need the needs and options jam? Grab a pen and paper. There's a simple set of questions we can ask to help you assess where you're at in the process. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video and get those things. All right, you got your pen and paper? First question. How clear are you exactly on what you need? On a scale of 0, not at all, to 10, completely. How clear are you on what you need? Question 2, out of 10, how clear are you on all of the options that your site or property can accommodate? Okay, out of 10, how confident are you that you're aware of all legal requirements? Okay. Out of 10, how aware are you of the process that you need to have in place in order to get this project completed on time and on budget? Okay, the last question here. Out of 10, how confident are you that your budget will achieve your needs? 0, not at all, 10, completely. Okay, so go ahead and tally up your score, see where you're at. It's totally okay if you didn't mark 10 for all of these at this time. That's totally fine. The needs and options jam is what's going to help you fill that gap. That's going to move you on the way to the design process. But the first step is the needs and options jam. Now, the reason the needs and options jam was developed is because me and some colleagues were seeing huge issues in the construction industry. People were jumping way too quickly into design and construction without evaluating all their different options, and projects were going both over time and over budget. The consequences of inadequate upfront research of needs and options is like building a house on bad foundation. The foundations are the most important part of the whole house because everything else is built on top of it. It's very expensive to change the foundations once you have started and built on top of them. But on the other hand, it's very easy to make changes if they're simply lines on a plan. This is what makes us different. We do a lot more preliminary research and make sure that we assess all the different options so that you get the project that you need. We're not going to rush you into the design phase. We're different in this way, and in fact, we will only work with clients who go through the needs and options jam. Skipping this process only causes overruns later if we take any shortcuts and we don't establish these solid foundations. The needs and options jam is the most important step because it lays the foundation for a successful project. Once completed, the valuable insights from this process could be used by us to continue with your project or any other firm, and ultimately, the project's going to be a lot better because of the work that you've done here. So, question, can we save a little bit of money by not doing the needs and options jam? Well, of course, you could hire some other architect. They might give you a couple free sketches and then rush you into the design process, but that's not how I work. This stage in the beginning is the most critical time to be evaluating what is it that you really need, taking the time to figure that out, and what are the different options that you have available, and making sure that we pair those things and move forward with the right project. And to not do that could be one of the most costly choices made in this entire project, because as we saw in that graph earlier, once you get further down the road, making changes is very expensive. We want to take the time to evaluate your project right now. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you've made it this far, I hope you've learned something, and I'm looking forward to working with you. You can follow a link below to schedule a needs and options jam session. Either I or one of my colleagues is going to follow up to make sure you've got all the information you need. Thank you so much.